communication is a two-way street. You can't be a good speaker without being a good listener because you have to speak the language of the audience.
If you want to say to the present managers one thing they should always practice to become a good leader, what's that one suggestion you give?
Listening.
How to be a good communicator?
Okay, 3 quick points. First, be a good listener. Second, speak in chunks. And last but not the least, use pauses.
What is leadership?
For me, leadership is being fully present in wherever you are, with whomever you are.
Most of the leaders who are good speaker, they're actually very good leaders.
Absolutely.
And that what makes you a good leader.
Yes.
Many newcomers and many people in the organization, they are facing today, like when they're sacked from the company, how they should communicate at that moment. When they're sacked from the company, they are fired from the company.
The right way is to basically take time to observe and not communicate.
Hello friends. In today's world, the most important thing is how you communicate. How is your body language? Most of the people, we are working in a corporate world, और कहीं ना कहीं किसी न किसी प्लेग्राउंड में भी ऑल आर वर्किंग. और जब हम कहीं काम कर रहे होते हैं, इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट हाउ यू आर कम्युनिकेटिंग विथ योर पियर्स, विथ योर कलीग्स, विथ योर सीनियर्स. और किसी भी लीडर के लिए सबसे जो इम्पोर्टेंट क्वालिटी है वो है कम्युनिकेशन. कहते हैं अगर आपके पास कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स हैं, देन यू आर अ गुड लीडर एंड यू कैन ऑलवेज सक्सीड इन योर लाइफ. So today's podcast is very important if you want to improve your communication skills. Today we have Smita Das Jain with us. If I'll tell you about her, she's founder and CEO of Empower Your Edge, executive coach, personal empowerment life coach, NLP professional. She has worked for long duration in the corporate world, and based on her experience and as per her training, she has written a book called Leading with Words. This book tells us about how we can influence people, how we should communicate, what should be our body language, and how communication can make you a leader. So if you are working anywhere, not only corporate but anywhere, and if you want to succeed in your life, this podcast is a must for you. So we'll go deep in the conversation with Smita and try to understand each and every aspect of communication in a corporate world, in any sector, but how this communication is so important for day-to-day life. So welcome Smita to our show.
Thank you so much, Himanshu, for having me here.
And this is one of the very interesting topic, I'll tell you. I myself have been working in corporate world for more than 24-25 years. मैंने भी धीरे धीरे सीखा था. I still remember कि शुरू में जब हम ईमेल्स लिखते थे, तो एक अगर किसी से कुछ बोलना है कि यार आप ये डेटा भेज दो, तो कहते थे सेंड मी दिस डेटा. देन आई स्टिल रिमेंबर मेरे एक बॉस थे अबाउट 20 years बैक. ही सेड कि नो, व्हेनेवर यू राइट एन ईमेल, आपको भले वो आपकी अथॉरिटी है वो डेटा लेना, बट यू शुड राइट प्लीज सेंड मी दैट डेटा. तो जस्ट बाय इंक्लूडिंग दैट वर्ड प्लीज, the way of communication changes. So first of all, I want to ask you how you got inspired about writing a book which talks about communication and the leading the word.
So, Himanshu, when you were narrating that incident जो आपके साथ corporate world में हुआ था, it actually reminded me of an incident when I was just starting my corporate career. That was around 19 years ago. मेरे कोई project manager थे. I was as a consultant working with a big 4 firm, and he had asked me something, and I used to be his like favorite team member. And then one day over the email, he asked me something, and I just dropped a line. That answer was fine, but it was a one-line answer. And मेरे को उस मेल में वापस आंसर मिला था, learn to use the word niceties like please and thank you and sorry in your conversation. And that was a lesson for me, and I was reminded जब आप अपना सुना रहे थे that even when you know people और आपको लग रहा है आपको information देनी है, you are just giving it and you are not even thinking twice, but then people get offended कि इसमें ऐसा नहीं है. And that was fortunately I learned it very early in my career, so I didn't make such mistakes again. Now when I was growing up in the corporate ladder, I realized that you may be very good at your work, but in order to make a positive impression, you need to articulate what you are doing in an effective manner. So that realization stood me in good stead. I grew very fast. Then 4.5 years earlier, when I decided to quit the corporate world, and become an executive and life coach, again, this part of messaging was very important because I was making a pivot, I was reinventing myself. It became all the more important for my people who knew me, for me to be able to articulate this pivot effectively, to convince them that they can work with me in a new capacity. And I was successful relatively early in my pivot because of the way I communicated, because of the pivot. Now, when I started coaching, so I coach mid career professionals and senior leaders. Right now, a lot of my clients are in the C suite. Now, day after day, when I'm coaching them, I noticed a common pattern emerging. Communication was almost always the number one challenge that was preventing a good leader to become a great leader, and that was preventing a senior professional to break into the C suite. And in many cases, that was the only factor that was preventing a C suite leader to break into the board level. Communication does not mean articulation, it means your message has to be effective and it has to land. Now, with so many careers getting stalled, I do one-on-one coaching. Of course, leaders were coming to me for, I mean, I coach in other areas also, but this by far is the number one area, the number one challenge. And at a point in time, one, I realized I can't coach all. In fact, even now I say no to more people than yes, because the hours are limited in a day and I can only have so many clients at a time. And looking at the pervasiveness and the seriousness of the challenge, I didn't want brilliant careers to get stalled. So that thought, I was anyway an author. I pivoted into two careers at one go, being an author and being a coach. So I had written fiction books earlier. But somewhere by end 2023, early 2024, I was realizing, oh my God, this is a far, executive communication, workplace communication is a far bigger challenge than I realized. And I can help more beyond coaching. So that's when the genesis started coming. But the push really came in 2024 from my own coaches who I was working with. So when I was sharing my tips, techniques, and I was helping them grow into a better communicator, I started getting more and more requests. Is there a book you can refer to us? Is there a literature where we can use, which we can use as ready reference, whatever you are coaching us with? And actually, whatever I was coaching was my own techniques. There was no literature. First I tried finding some literature. I researched through Google. 2024 AI was well entrenched. I even asked AI, is there a book that combines leadership and communication? So there are many books on leadership. And there are many books on communication, but there was no good literature I could find on workplace communication. And there was more and more such requests. And
Sorry to interrupt. I always feel that for leaders, especially, if you want to be a good communicator, it's not only that your communication skills should be good, your English should be good. It's more about how much information you have gathered.
Yes.
So if you see most of the leaders who are good speaker, they're actually very good reader. And those small stuff which you keep on reading, you actually articulate together when you are speaking, and those come out as a thought.
Absolutely.
And that what makes you a good leader.
Yes, you are right, Himanshu. So we should know what we are speaking about, then only we'll be able to articulate. But
frankly telling you, past 2.5 years when I started doing podcast, because of the podcast, various guests, intelligent guests who are sitting in front of me, and I have to ask some questions. Sorry, I started reading. Because if you are on my show, I have to analyze, I have to read what I'm going to discuss with you. So I have read communication skills. Similarly, someone else will come, I would have read Ramayana as well. Sorry. So because every week new guests are coming, new information I am reading, and based on that knowledge is getting stored in my mind. So now what I feel that when I'm standing somewhere and speaking, it gives me more confidence because I have a pathway ready for me where I can pick up those words, pick up those stories, and I can narrate to anyone.
Yes.
So this is what my personal experience is. So if you want to be a good communication skills leader, you need to be a good reader. So now what's your view on this, or am I right or not?
Okay, so you are right, and I have something to add here. So you need to know your subject well. And unless you read, you won't be able to know your subject well because the world is changing. So something that we learned during our graduation and post-graduation days, they are already dated.
हाँ.
Similarly, the workplace is also changing. So you
Yes.
have to keep yourself updated.
Hmm.
And reading is the most credible, most durable way to keep yourself updated. So you will not go outdated. That's for sure. But to add to this, Himanshu, what I've noticed that, communication is a two-way street. Like we are having this podcast, it's a two-way communication. You can't speak all the time, I can't speak all the time, right? So it's very important that besides being a good reader, a leader, or anyone who wants to excel in their workplace, they need to learn to be a good listener.
Yeah.
And that's where I find there is a lot of paucity. One, because of attention deficit. In today's digital heavy world, attention spans are growing shorter. But that's where patience comes in. And listening is a very important part. Second, even when you are speaking, okay, now sometimes it happens we know a lot about the subject, but it's important for the message to land because the listener will not have the patience to listen to you completely if you are going off subject. So it's very important in order to be an effective communicator, specifically in a formal setting, right? I'm not talking about casual conversations, non-official gatherings and all, but in a formal setup. And even the interaction we are having now is a formal setup, right? It is very important for you to land your message, which means, okay, you may be knowing 100 points about the subject, but you need to be able to communicate the top three in the most efficient manner, shortest possible time. And that's an art many people lack.
This commonly happens with some Hindi medium students. I know few of my friends who were used to be my hostel mate or my classmate who were from the Hindi medium background. So they always used to say me, कि Himanshu, when we have to speak up in a college or some seminar, we remember all the points. And that's what happened. We know that, okay, these 10 points I have to speak, but then I will start making up the grammar. That is my grammar correct? I'm speaking the word correct? Is my pronunciation correct? And because of that, when I'll start speaking, I will skip 2-3 points, or I will reach to the last point, and then I will mix up and juggle up everything. So that's one of the major thing happens if you're not from that correct medium. So this is something which happens. Apart from this, although this is not from the exact topic what we're talking, but because of the communication word it comes, and what you were explaining, something came into my mind because I was discussing something, because I'm a romance author, so these things comes into my mind. Someone told me that now Gen Zs, they don't fall in love. Yeah. So what was my view? Someone questioned me. So I had regarding something related to communication only. I told to him that, see, previous days, couples used to arrange marriage होता था. कभी कभी तो देखते भी नहीं थे और शादी हो जाती थी. But still they fall in love because they start communicating to each other. Because when you communicate, you listen and you speak, both thing matters a lot, and slowly you fall in love. What happens is happening with Gen Z, that they are just swapping right and left. They are not giving time to communicate. They're not giving time to listen, neither they are giving time to speak up. And because of that, they're just swapping. Each day they are changing the partners, and finally they are not landing up into the true love. So communication becomes one of the very important reason for Gen Z's not falling into the true love. This was my feedback. So what's your view on this?
Okay, so Himanshu, communication is important whether you are at the dining table or whether you are in the boardroom. Okay, and honestly, I believe over communication is better than no communication. And why? Why blame Gen Z? I honestly believe they are the favorite punching grounds of gurus all around nowadays. But even I've seen even in like long married couples who have been married for a long time, and even a geriatric couple, somewhere along the way we become too involved in the digital devices, gadgets around us. So there are four people sitting in the dining table. There, from one hand they have the spoon and the fork, on the other hand they were swiping through the phone. So what happens, communication is a medium to express your thoughts. When you are not communicating, you are not sharing your thoughts. And as you get used to not sharing your thoughts, you stop getting any thoughts, right? So a home actually becomes just a house where you eat and sleep. So this is not a challenge only with Gen Z, but with everyone around nowadays, a growing manic. I honestly believe that as a couple, if you are fighting a lot, you are still doing a lot better than someone who is living together under the same roof but sharing silences. And I'm not meaning silences are comfortable if you are comfortable with it. But what is happening nowadays, number one, people, they are actually used to communicating via messages, WhatsApp, and text rather than face to face communication. Second, because they are not communicating, so when some difficult moments arise, they all the more avoid it. They're like, okay, let us. I mean, they find it easier to look into their mobile than look into the eyes of the person who is talking. And as a result, relationships suffer. If you want to, whether you want to save a relationship, whether you want to flourish in a relationship, whether you want to do even better in a relationship, and that's what we should all
Communication
be
is most
striving for.
important.
Yes, communication. I mean, it does not matter whether you're communicating with incorrect grammar, you're communicating with tuta futa English, but what matters you are taking the time to communicate, and that
अच्छा,
makes a
आज
difference.
आज की सोसाइटी में ना people are communicating more on social media.
Yes,
They would like to communicate more on walls.
yes,
So my next question comes on that only. Because why I talked about Gen Z, I'll tell you. When I will write something on my wall, I'll say, I don't know what I have to do today, but maybe I have something in my mind, and that's why I'm writing here.
Hmm.
But when Gen Z will write this, they will write hashtag IDK, IDMO, and
Hmm.
something like that. So the way of communication completely changes in the
Right.
two format. So what, as a specialist, as an expert, how you handle these type of communication changes? Because this is also communication, but the way Gen Zs are communicating is different, way millennials are communicating is different, and maybe before that it's totally different. So the way the communication is changing, how you look into that, how as a trainer you expect people to learn. क्या क्या आप अपने लीडर्स को ये बोलते हैं कि नहीं आपको जेनजीस की लैंग्वेज भी लर्न करना है? या अगर मैं कुछ टाइम पहले की बोले, एक मूवी आई थी विवाह, उसमें वो जल बोलती थी,
Yes.
जल शाहिद कपूर को लेकर. So that was another way of communicating.
Yes.
So how these ways of communications actually impact a trainer, and how trainers take these words to communicate or to teach to their clients.
Okay. So, irrespective of the generation that a person belongs to, the principles of communication remains the same. So in any communication, any formal communication again, there is one person who has the key role to facilitate the conversation, of course. And as a speaker, it's your job to make your communication adaptable. So as a speaker, first you have to be a listener and you have to understand the language that the other party is talking. So there's a technique in communication called mirroring, which I coach my coachees in, which simply means that when you listen to a person, don't only pay attention to the content, of course, that's important, but secondly, pay attention to the words because every person has their own lingo. And then, so first you listen, and then when it's your turn to speak, mirror some of the words that your listener is using. So if I'm talking to a Gen Z, I simply pay attention to the lingo. When I pay attention, I understand. It's not that they're talking in Greek and Latin, where it's Hindi and English only.
Some words are actually
But then, no, actually, okay, maybe the first time you see it on a social media wall, it may seem like
actually.
Greek and Latin,
I'll
but
tell you why I'm saying this, because I'm writing a next novel which is a pure romance, and it's
yeah.
a Gen Z romance.
Hmm.
So my publisher told me that Himanshu, when you're writing this novel, it should follow the lingo of Gen Z.
Yes.
And frankly telling you, when I'm doing that now, it's so tough for me. I'm writing a sentence, then researching, okay, if this sentence has been said by Gen Z, how he would pronounce it.
Yes.
And then the complete communication changes.
It will. But then you know what? You are writing, right? And you are researching. Now, when as a trainer or as a coach, you work with someone, you are actually talking to them, right? So it's very easy to pick up lingo when you are talking to someone.
हाँ,
So in your case, I can understand because I'm a writer myself. Researching the lingo because you are first
हाँ,
researching, then understanding, then cross-checking, it is difficult.
difficult.
Let me give you an advice if you don't mind. Spend a week with a Gen Z person and you don't have to research again. You will get all the lingo. So that's what we do as trainer. When you mirror, you understand the words, you get into the depth of the words the other person is saying, and then when it's your turn to speak, you use
Pick
some
up
of the
those
same words in your sentence, and then the tuning will be a lot better.
Okay. I have just written one question here. See, in your book, Leading with Words, you talk about transparency as a tool for
Yes.
trust. Okay. So, how can leaders use vulnerable storytelling to drive success during crisis? With an example from your consulting work where you have worked. So, if you can explain with an example for this.
Sure, Manshu. So first thing, so you said transparency, in a crisis especially, transparency and trust go hand in hand.
Hmm.
So what happened? Most leaders, unfortunately, try to hush the matters up. So it very often happens the outside world knows, and inside, all employees, they are like, okay, there are rumors swirling, and the leadership isn't communicating, and that's why there is no trust. So the first thing, when you need to deal with a crisis is be upfront. Tell your employees, hey, this is the mistake that happened, or this is the business situation that is happening. And this is our way, this is how we are thinking that we will deal with it. And if you're not sure about success, it's okay. Admit that. That success or failure is tomorrow's chapter. We can't predict it today. But what we are telling you is we are giving it our 100% to make it a success. And your employees will rally behind you. So, when I was a consultant, I have advised many a company steer through, the restructuring, reorganization that was happening. And in some cases, there were leaders who were like, oh, like we as consultants knew what was happening. Their employees are like, okay, consultants are coming to our office daily. They are doing something major. They are interacting with
They
us.
must
But
be firing us.
yeah, but what's the reason? We don't know. And of course, they used to ask, and we can't say because we are bound by client confidentiality. But there were some other leaders who were very transparent about reorg right from the word go. And their employees knew when we were in their office what we as consultants team were doing. There, I would find the cooperation was a lot more. I would say, it
Positive
was
side.
the quality of cooperation improved. The insights and inputs we used to get from the employees, it was of a very different manner, and people were very open. Whereas in the other cases, the employees are very guarded. Because as you said, the first thing is, okay, maybe I
I'm
would be
getting fired.
getting fired. That's why
Yeah,
the
but this
consultant.
this is a good question. I'll say. See, there are various type of organizations. It can be a 10 employee organization. It can be a 10,000
Right.
people of employee of organization. Now, when, for example, we are talking about reorg or firing people. So when this communication need to be thrown, maybe a 10 employee CEO can throw it in a different way. But someone who is holding an employee of 10,000 or 1 lakh, his ways of communication need to be gone in a different way, because that will impact lot many people and the motivation level. So what suggestions you as a consultant give in those to those type of cases?
So first, okay, I was a consultant in my past life, but as someone, as a communication expert, the first thing is, so you as a leader, get your next in line aligned with your messages. Because of course, you will not be the one delivering the message to 10,000 employees, but the messages needs to be aligned across the leadership hierarchy. So you can't have a CEO saying a different thing, a CEO saying a different thing, a head marketing saying a different thing. So first of all, you as a leader need to communicate with your 10 or 15 direct reports, whoever. And once you do that, and again show your vulnerable side, whatever it is. Vulnerability is not a bad word nowadays. People trust you more when you are open, the way you are. And after that, once you have given the message, once you have answered their question, you also need to have a communication handbook in place for that particular situation. So now tell your direct reports, when you reach out to your direct reports, that's the messaging that needs to go. And again, that's something that many leaders miss out on. When a crisis comes, they deal with it then and there. When you have a crisis playbook, it becomes easy, like, okay, these are the protocols to be followed, this is what needs to be done. When you so note, for example, if you don't want anyone to talk to media, it should be there whenever something happens. Just let's have a leadership huddle first, let's not talk to the media till we have done that. So having a playbook where for standard crisis situations, these are the protocols that will be activated, it becomes a lot easier. Then you can, of course, in the leadership huddle or when you communicate with your DRs, you can discuss the nuances. So that's what, having a playbook, it becomes a lot easier. So the top level of the management to the junior most leader in the hierarchy, they will know, okay, this is the message I need to align my people on. So the same message that will be delivered to their employees, it will be uniform. It's very important that two leaders in an organization don't speak different languages, don't state
That's very
different
important.
facts.
Another thing comes that because as a leader or maybe if I'm manager, I'm gathering my say 20 30 people and I'm trying to address something or I'm doing a meeting. Sometimes as a leader you feel that your team is dull, they're getting bored, they're not energized. So just assume, or I'll give you an example that I was in 2016 or 17. I was invited as a guest speaker in World Book Fair, National World Book Fair, Delhi. So I was there attending, and many guests were coming. They were speaking. Some were coming and speaking their poetries, and actually, audience was getting bored a lot. We, as an author, we have seen in many literature events, audience just sleep and some authors used to come like that. Okay, I'll speak up this complete poetry. No, it's really boring. So, so people was getting bored. So then my turn came. I was like totally confused that okay, now I'll go on stage. People are already getting bored. They're not ready to listen. So who will listen to me? So I went on stage and I said, "Ki okay, I don't want to talk about my book. Let's talk about Amitabh Bachchan. Who knows Amitabh Bachchan?" So suddenly people started raising up hand, and I started asking question. Okay, which is your favorite movie? Which is that favorite movie? And then slowly, I diverted Amitabh Bachchan towards book. Uh, so this was my way to energize everyone. So now just giving you a situation where a manager enters into a room, or you yourself are a manager, you enter into a room, you have 20 30 people under you, you have called them for a very important business alignment discussion, but this discussion is happening around 3 o'clock after lunch. Most of the people have just finished the lunch and they are feeling sleepy. Some have not taken their smoke breaks, so all are dull. Now what you will do to energize them?
I have actually faced such situations, so it's an easy answer for me. So, what I will do, so you said it's 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I will greet them with a good morning. So, I will be like, good morning, it's a bright, sunny morning, isn't it? And then there will be puzzled look, people will look at each other, and then somebody, because I'm their manager, but somebody will gather some courage to say in a faint voice that it's actually afternoon, ma'am. And then I'll be like, great. So one of your colleagues says it's an afternoon. How many of you agree it's an afternoon and not a morning? Give me a show of hands. And then the hands will go up. And then I'll be like, okay, now that I know, despite that nice lunch, all of you are awake, let me start with the agenda of this meeting. And that will actually break the ice. There will be smiles. Now people will be alert. And then I will continue. I actually do it a lot. So I'm a speaker. I get invited very often to speak. And whenever there is a late evening session or a post lunch session, this is something that I do. So in communication parlance, we call it the opening hook. That's a technique we apply. So see, day in and day out, people attend a lot of meetings. You spoke about literature festivals. We are not the only authors speaking. People have heard many authors before us, and they are like, okay, the first speaker always has the advantage. Uske baad the mind gets numb. They are like, okay, even the book is different, but the author is going to speak
Speak the
about the
same thing.
same thing. So
That's why I don't try to speak the same thing in my podcast.
so the thing is, so when I say a hook is a device where you start with something other than the agenda. So, for example, this podcast, you're interviewing me, so the topic is communication. A hook is anything apart from communication when you start the subject. There are three most common hooks, universally acceptable. You either start with a story, which can be about yourself if you are a reasonably well-known personality, or it can be from someone in the audience if you know someone in the audience well. Then second is question, which is the example I gave. Start with a question. It can be a contrarian question, like the way I started that it's a morning when it's an afternoon. That always gets people to attention and doesn't take much time. The third is statistics, numbers, not numbers from your book if you are a writer, or not numbers from your business if you're presenting in the boardroom, but a macro number given by a credible third party. Census numbers, GDP numbers, any well-known consultant numbers. You start with that. That credibility rubs off on you, and then everyone is attentive, and then you start with the main part of the talk.
Okay, now in this today's world, AI is taking up like anything. So even I am opening up this AI and asking you questions, because not directly through AI, but yes, I keep on scrolling just for my audience as well. Because when you are telling me something, sometimes I feel that okay, the number what you have spoken is not correct. So I keep on doing that AI checks in between to understand that the numbers or concept what you are explaining is correct or not. So I keep on doing those things. But yes, so AI is something which is already there in the market. It's there in the corporate world. It's there in everywhere where we are working right now. So, and it will take off more coming up with Gen AI and other AI versions. But what changed the way the C-suite leaders prepare for high stake talks? Because obviously now using an AI, these top leadership, they need to improve their communication and they need to see that how they need to present themselves. So what's the suggestion for them? What your research says about that?
Okay, so the first thing, in a lot of ways, AI has made their task easier. Now they don't have to worry about spellings and grammar, especially when it comes to written communication. Even earlier, like we had tools, but after AI, everybody now uses Copilot for before sending important emails, and that really reduces the headache. Second, with AI and especially with Copilot penetration in the corporate organizations, people just have to put their thoughts, and AI can put them into structure. That again means that you can, especially as a C-suite leader, since your question was specific, you can spend less time on the operational, the nitty-gritties. So you don't have to worry about beautifying the presentation or even putting in the slides. That means you get more time for strategic matters. And as a C-suite leader, I believe you need to spend more time on strategic matters rather than operational day-to-day matters. So even if you're presenting somewhere, you should not be getting worried about, okay, the slides need to look beautiful or it needs to be in a certain structure. All you need to focus on is what do I want to say, because that is important, that preparation part. And then you put that in AI will put that in a structure to you. Similarly for team meetings, right? You just put your points, and it's not that you have to write it also somewhere. You can articulate it through a voice note, and then AI will put it into structure. It will give you additional points. So you can use AI strategically to save time on those nitty gritties, those operational matters. At the same time, the mistakes I am seeing everyone make, not only leaders in the corporate world, but everyone, is that they are relying on AI for original thoughts. Now that is a mistake, because AI is ultimately taking data from whatever is available in the internet already, which means it's not original. So if you are like, okay, I need to share these 5 points with my audience today, can you give me more data? Can you put it into structure? AI is a good tool. But if you ask AI, what do I say to my audience? Then that's the wrong question, because whatever AI will give, it's already
It's already
out there.
spoken up somewhere.
So you lose your originality. You sound like everyone else.
So you can take the data points, but you need to speak it up or communicate by yourself. That's
Right,
the
the
word.
thoughts need to be yours. AI can give a better structure to your thoughts. And also the research time has reduced, right? So for example, for my next book that I wrote after Leading with Words, it involved a lot of research. Now 2 years earlier, had I done that through Google, it would have taken me 6-7 months just to compile all the information, leave around assimilating it. Now what I did, I used Perplexity, and it crunched that, it gave me data points, so that research was possible in 1 month, which is like, it's a lot of saving of lead time. So that's how you can use AI. You can use it to aid your thought, but you cannot use it to replace your thoughts.
Coming on the thought part, it's always been said that when you are making a presentation, क्योंकि हम स्लाइड्स की बात भी कर रहे थे, तो स्लाइड्स बनाने के अगर आप किसी जूनियर एग्जीक्यूटिव इंजीनियर को बोलो कि यार इस टॉपिक पे स्लाइड बनानी है, you will just make 2-3 डब्बास, you will write some sentences, sometimes long sentences, and you will make, oh सर स्लाइड बन गया. But the correct way of making slide, जो कहा जाता है in a corporate world, is actually storytelling.
Yes.
Slides are the best way which can actually bring your thoughts to the screen and you can explain everything. So as a coach, as an NLP practitioner, what your suggestion for corporate world to make your slides? What's the correct way to make your slides?
So as you already said, storytelling. And as authors, we understand storytelling. So even for, leaders, that is my advice, that when you are telling whatever you are sharing through slides, follow a 3-act structure. That means it needs to have a beginning where the audience needs to be interested. If they're not interested in 2 minutes, they are not interested. So beginning, where you introduce something which is of general interest, and where the key characters or the key things in focus, there is a lack, so that the audience is generally drawn to it. Then there is a middle where you showcase all the challenges, all the obstacles that this beginning, let's say the protagonist, or let's say a company, whatever you are presenting, that it has to reach its goal. The audience should be aware about the enormity. The more the challenges, the more they will be committed to the outcome, because everyone loves a good challenge. And the last bit, you should give them a happy resolution, right? Happy ending, as we call it in stories. That means whatever you are communicating, it should be possible for the audience to believe. So either in the end, like let's say you are presenting a challenge and how you tackled. In the end, you should solve it for the audience by saying, this is how I will overcome the challenge. If it's your role to motivate the audience, then you need to end with the solution which makes everyone believe, yes, if we work like this, the challenge will be overcome. So वो कैसा भी हो, आप slide इस structure में करोगे, so everyone will be interested, or at least most people will be. That's for sure.
Great. So if you want to say to the present managers one thing they should always practice to become a good leader, what's that one suggestion you'll give?
Listening. I would just say listen, because communication is a two-way street. You can't be a good speaker without being a good listener, because you have to speak the language of the audience. You have to convince them that you understand where they're coming from. You don't necessarily have to agree all the time. Of course, if you agree all the time, you are not a good leader, right? But even if you don't agree, in order to decide it's a yes or a no, you need to listen up. हाँ या ना किस पे कह रहे हो. So that's the thing. Just spend time listening. And if you become a good listener, automatically, even if you stumble in communication, even if you are not fluent in English, or even let's say you are not fully on top of your subject, but agar aap listen karoge, if you read the room, by the time it's your turn, you will have enough matter to speak on the subject.
And similar suggestion, what one suggestion you will give to the beginners? The people who are just entering into the corporate world, they're just starting up their career. What advice you will give to them?
Speak up. Don't second guess yourself. Don't worry कि लोग क्या सोचेंगे. This is coming from my own experience as a beginner in the corporate world. So, Manshu, the kind of person I am, like now, of course, I coach people on communication, but even otherwise, I'm a 3-time TEDx speaker. I do a lot of public speaking. And I have authored 5 books. People naturally assume I'm good at communication. Of course, I am. That's why I'm doing why I'm doing what I do. But the thing is, I grew up with this limiting belief that my communication is not good, or rather, my verbal communication is not good. I was much more confident in the written form of communication, but somewhere I had this belief that I can't articulate things well. तो मैं बोलूंगी लोग या तो समझ नहीं पाएंगे या हंसेंगे. Despite and doing graduation from SRCC, despite doing my MBA from IIM, even when a Big Four hired me pre-day zero from my campus saying we are hiring you for your communication skills because you spoke with so much confidence, तब भी मुझे लगा रहे ये तो those imposter syndrome, ये तो fluke है, असली में जाऊंगी तो पता चलेगा. And because of that I used to not speak up in meetings. Slides अच्छा बन जाता था, reports अच्छे बन जाते थे, but when it came to meetings, again that feeling, whatever I say it won't make sense, so I used to keep quiet. Till one day I realized कि और कोई नहीं है, सबसे ज्यादा सीनियर मैं ही हूँ, तो मुझे ही बोलना पड़ेगा. But the thing is that's a mistake. And when I started speaking I realized that नहीं, मेरी तो communication अच्छी है.
वही
I'm
होता है,
getting
when you
compliments.
start speaking you understand कि you can speak. I
Exactly.
still remember when I was invited for TEDx, I was too much afraid यार TEDx में बोलना है, इतने लोग सामने बैठे होंगे, फोकस लाइट होगा, क्या करेंगे.
Exactly.
मैंने एक्चुअली वो स्क्रिप्ट ना कई बार पढ़ी कि
हाँ.
अच्छा, तो वो प्रैक्टिस भी करवाते हैं
हाँ.
TEDx वाले कि ये
हाँ,
आपको यही
I
बोलना है,
know.
यही बोलना है. मैं तो कहता देखो यार तुम ना पॉइंटर दे दो मुझे. तो कहोगे यही बोलना है तो मैं कभी नहीं बोल पाऊंगा. मुझे याद नहीं होगा वो. देन फाइनली उन्होंने मुझे पॉइंटर्स भी दिए, उन्होंने मुझे प्रैक्टिस भी कई बार करवाई, पर जब मैं वहां गया तो मैंने अपने हिसाब से ही बोला. ऑल्दो आई कवर्ड अप ऑल दोस पॉइंट्स, कि मैंने उनसे कहा था कि नीचे स्लाइड्स चल रही ना, उसमें मेरे को 5 पॉइंटर लिख देना, बाकी मैं कोशिश करूंगा तुमने जो लिखा है बोल दो. बट आई विल स्पीक दोस 5 पॉइंट्स फॉर श्योर. और जब मैं उतर के आया तो उसने मुझसे कहा सर आपने 5 पॉइंट तो पूरी बोले पर हमारी स्क्रिप्ट नहीं बोली.
I know, but it's okay ना, points तो cover हो गए.
ना
and the
पॉइंट्स कवर हो
speech
गए ना, बस
went well, so
दैट्स
that's what.
इंपॉर्टेंट.
So यही है, at the beginner, at the when you start your career, there will be a lot of limiting beliefs. The fact that you are not good in communication is just one limiting belief. So my advice will always be that do what you want. For example, in this case, since we are talking about communication, speak up. Don't think लोग क्या कहेंगे. Don't think that I will make a fool of myself. Don't think लोगों को समझ नहीं आएगा. Just speak up and don't wait too long. If you're in a meeting where you're afraid to speak, पहले 5 मिनट के अंदर ही बोल दो ताकि the rest of the meeting you can sit relax. And the more you speak up, then it हम लोग क्यों hesitate करते हैं? Because of that unfamiliarity. When you don't speak up often, जब मजबूरी में बोलना पड़ता है, बहुत डर के बोलोगे. But when
वो
you
लगता ही
make
है ना
it
कि सामने वाला क्या सोचेगा.
exactly.
अभी यार तभी आप देखो जो किड्स होते हैं, बच्चे होते हैं, बिल्कुल वो तोतलाते हुए भी ना सब कुछ बोल देते हैं,
हाँ,
बिकॉज डोंट हैव फियर कि लोग मेरे बारे में
exactly.
क्या सोच रहे
वो
हैं.
बच्चों में तो होता ही नहीं है ना.
हाँ.
बड़े होते हैं तभी, जैसे as you grow up from primary to middle, then middle to
That's why we
secondary,
say ना
तब
कि जो
आता है.
kids हैं actually they are into the complete mindfulness.
Exactly. तो
They
वही
only live in the present. They
हाँ.
don't think about future. They don't think about their
And
past.
एक सीक्रेट मैं आपको बताऊं, ये जो फियर है ना, लोग क्या कहेंगे, दिस फियर इज विदाउट एनी बेसिस, बिकॉज ऑनेस्टली इन टुडेज वर्ल्ड
किसी को
लोगों
पड़ी
के
ही
पास
नहीं है.
इतना टाइम ही नहीं है
पड़ी ही
आपके
नहीं
बारे
है.
में सोचे. Right.
Frankly.
So while you are standing in the podium thinking, oh लोग क्या सोच रहे होंगे, people are already thinking about their own world. किसी के घर में प्रॉब्लम है, किसी के मीटिंग में कोई क्राइसिस से
लोग
डील
एक
कर
मिनट
रहा
में
है.
तो रील स्वैप कर देते हैं.
Exactly.
Who is going to remember you?
So you are not that important. अगर आप वो प्रिंसिपल रखो ना, मैं इतनी इम्पोर्टेंट ही नहीं हूँ कि लोग मेरे बारे में सोचे, तो मुझे जो बोलना है मैं
इस
करूँ.
पॉइंट पे मैं आपको बताता हूँ, मेरी एक थ्योरी है. आई ऑलवेज से कि हमारा जो यूनिवर्स है, that exactly is replica in the relationship or the people where we live around. I'll tell you how. What happens in universe? It's said that universe is expanding. सारे planets, सारे stars, they are expanding and expanding. दूर जा रहे हैं एक दूसरे से. See in a family what happens? Parents होते हैं, 2-3 बच्चे होते हैं. जब तक वो बच्चे हैं पेरेंट्स के साथ हैं, बिल्कुल एक जेल होता है, भाई बहन बिल्कुल साथ में रह रहे हैं. फिर क्या होता है, कुछ सालों बाद पेरेंट्स की डेथ हो जाती है, बच्चे सब मैरिड हो जाते हैं. टिल देन दे आर स्टिल कम्युनिकेटिंग विद ईच अदर.
Yes.
एक कम्युनिकेशन चैनल रहता है, फोन पे बात कर लिए, साल में 1-2 बार मिल लिए. बच्चे भी एक दूसरे को जानते हैं, भले इतना ना मिले पर एटलीस्ट दे नो ईच अदर. और थोड़ा अगर ज्यादा जेलेंगे तो ज्यादा मिलना हो जाता है. नाउ सी एज अ यूनिवर्स, नाउ दे एक्सपैंड. अब उनकी जो जनरेशन आएगी, वो उनके बच्चे एक दूसरे को शायद थोड़ा वहाँ एक वो है, उनको मैं पहचानता हूँ, ठीक है, उनकी मम्मी मेरी मम्मी की वो थी. बट आफ्टर दैट जो नेक्स्ट जनरेशन आएगी, they will not even remember कि वो कौन थे. So this is how the universe is expanding and so the communication expands. तो communication की भी एक limit है, which can be which can gel two people or two stars or two planets together till that limit. उसके बाद वो communication भी fade off हो जाता है. This is what my theory is.
वो तो है ही. See, लिमिट क्या, वो तो आई वुड से हर डिकेड में एवरी 5 years वो कम्युनिकेशन लाइक जैसे हमारे ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स कम्युनिकेट करते थे, आई डोंट थिंक हम लोग ऐसे करते हैं,
हम्म
एंड आवर ग्रैंड चिल्ड्रन वोंट कम्युनिकेट इन द सेम वे.
हम्म
So it's a natural process of evolution. The modes of communication, the way you communicate, even the lingo, the words you use, sometimes even the language itself change. एक
हम्म
जमाना था, maybe pre-independence, हिंदी was the dominant language. आज
हम्म
हिंदी इंग्लिश इक्वल है, कल को कोई तीसरी लैंग्वेज आ जाए, कोई नहीं कह
आप
सकता.
फिर मैं जेनजी पे आ रहा हूँ, पर आप जेनजीस को रामायण दिखा दो, उनको आधी समझ में ही नहीं आएगी. आई कैन बेट उन्हें समझ में नहीं आएगी. मैं अपने बेटे को अगर दे दूं कि तुम रामायण पूरी देख के मैं समझा दो, उसको आधे शब्द ही समझ में नहीं आएंगे कि
तभी तो
अरुण देवल ने क्या
एनिमेटेड
बोला.
मूवीज बन रही है ना.
हाँ.
इट्स फॉर दिस जनरेशन ओनली, मे बी जेन अल्फा, नॉट इवन जेन जी, बट यही है.
So I have the last round
हम्म.
where I'm going to ask you a rapid fire of
हम्म.
10 questions. Without thinking, you need to give me just answers. Okay. So first one we'll start with, if you could teleport anywhere right now, where would you go?
भुवनेश्वर.
Don't take time. What's your go-to midnight snack?
Nothing.
So you don't eat, or
No, midnight I don't eat.
okay. I also don't eat after 8.
Oh, okay.
Superpower of choice, fly or invisibility.
Fly.
One movie you can quote word for word.
DDLJ.
My wife also, she loves TTH.
I love Shah Rukh Khan, so.
Actually, uh, even me and my wife was discussing this. Before COVID, we were like movie crazy. So every movie we used to go to movie hall. Every Friday, I used to be in movie hall. After office, I used to go to movie. But after COVID, I think something has changed. I have not gone to movie hall from past 3-4 years. I think last I have watched Animal. I think already 3 years passed, no?
2 years.
2 or 3 years. That was the last movie I have seen. But I think it's an overdose of entertainment what is happening through OTT. I think so.
Yeah.
So maybe that interest has gone to go to movie hall and watch something. Even I don't think now I can go and sit there for 3 hours.
I think it's also one, honestly, maybe it's a different subject in a different podcast. The content that is coming in movies, you really, it really needs to be something good. And second, because of OTT, you mentioned, I mean, at least I have got into the habit of fast forwarding. I don't like something, just fast forward. Oh, there's a song
No,
coming, I'm not
again,
liking.
the
So again,
communication is playing a big role in that.
yeah.
What's my point of view? If you see after watching so much content in OTT, there are very good web series or shows which are very good way of communicating. The way we talk, the way we behave, they are communicating like that way. If you talk about Gullak, talk about Panchayat, or any other thriller web series also, where they're actually connecting the human emotions.
Yes.
एक तो आप 8-9 एपिसोड में देखते हो, slowly they burn and you start living with them. They're actually communicating much more better than watching War 2 of Hrithik Roshan, where आपको सब कुछ hypothetical लगता है.
Yes.
So that the communication which the movies are making, it's going out of the way. They're not hitting those emotional points.
Exactly. So content है, message है. They are not trying for the message to land.
Yes.
They are not getting the pulse of the audience. क्या सुनना चाहती है, क्या देखना
मैं
चाहती है.
अभी वॉर 2 ही देख रहा था. आई शुड नॉट कोट द मूवी, बट जस्ट जब मैंने स्टार्टिंग देखा, आई वॉच फॉर 10 मिनट्स. पता नहीं एक करके लोग आ रहे थे, उड़ रहे थे, उनको मार रहे थे. So it was not connecting to me anywhere. It was not communicating what it should have communicated to me. So I stopped watching after 10 minutes. वहीं अगर मैं कोई वेब सीरीज देख रहा हूँ जो धीरे धीरे बर्न हो रही है, इवन कटहल करके एक मूवी है.
हाँ.
If you watch slowly it starts communicating its message to you. So okay, so I just drifted from my topic.
No worries.
So if animal could talk, which one would be the rudest?
Parrot.
Parrots are cute.
Oh, but they can be rude also.
Okay, pineapple or pizza? Yes or hard no?
Pizza.
Yes or hard no?
Oh, I thought it's either or. No, pizza, yes. Pineapple, no. Hard no.
Okay. What the weirdest thing you ever Googled?
What are my clients searching for 2 a.m. at night? I actually Googled that exact phrase.
And what you found?
They're very stressed. That's what Google replied.
Okay. If you had to eat one meal forever, what would it be?
Pasta with white sauce. Specific
Okay.
spirally pasta with white sauce.
So you can eat that forever.
Yes.
Dance off or karaoke battle? Which are you winning?
Oh, neither is my cup of tea, honestly.
But if
Karaoke battle.
what's your spirit animal in emoji form?
Spirit animal emoji. Now I can't think. Horse.
So these were the 10 questions.
Oh,
But it was nice conversing with you, and really nice book, Leading with Words. I think whatever we have done a conversation, whatever we try to communicate in this podcast, major things comes out from this book. And I think if you are into your leadership position or into your corporate world or anywhere in the workspace, if you're working and you want to understand how you should communicate to be a step ahead, how you want to communicate to be a leader, how you should communicate to become a thought leadership, you should definitely read this book. This is published by Shrishti, written by Smita Das Jain. It's a wonderful book, a quick bite you can take. It's just 200 pages. It will not take a 2 days to read for you, and will definitely give you something insights for your corporate world. सो बी इन दिस पॉडकास्ट, अगर आपको अच्छा लगा हो तो लाइक करिएगा, शेयर करिएगा, कमेंट सेक्शन में बताना व्हाट वी मिस्ड आउट. वी कैन कॉल हर बैक and maybe we can answer your questions if you have any. So Smita, anything you want to communicate to audience?
yes. So to those watching this episode, I would really like to mention that in today's world, it's not only important, what you do. It's more important how you communicate what you do. And this book, Leading with Words, will show you how to do it in an articulate and most effective manner. So, no matter where you are working, this is a guidebook, your practical handbook for workplace communication. So, do pick up the book and do drop a comment to me after you read how you find it. Thank you so much. I hope you found this conversation insightful. I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. Thanks for being on the show, Smita.
My pleasure, Himanshu. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for having me.